All right, ladies and gentlemen. So going to change the way this looks on our live stream, but I got to ask a big important question, and we'll ask these gentlemen as well. Did you all vote? It is, Super Tuesday, so hopefully you all voted, and now it's time to talk about some soccer. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast.
Towards the near post, the flick, and it's in! Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County. And it is a massive one. Austin Bold dominant in the last 10.
Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside of right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester is the opening goal for Orange County.
Heads it down, back post, opportunity and a goal! A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black SoccerCast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black SoccerCast, presented by Ruffneck Scarves and Icarus FC. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me, as he does each and every week, yes, I can pronounce Icarus properly at this point, Dylan. It's Dylan from Counterline Coalition. Dylan, how are things going?
They're going. I also must echo that I hope you all voted. Yeah, I don't know. A pretty positive day. We had media day, and then we voted together. It was very cute. Very on brand for us to vote just outside of the stadium.
It was a really fun thing. Unfortunately, Alan couldn't join us, but that's his fault or his whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he works that part-time teaching job anyway, so,
Part-time teacher, full-time podcaster?
Yes. You've more podcast
the way it
gigs
goes.
than you do teaching gigs, so I think that's how that works.
And if you didn't know by now, he's in here. He's joined us on time for this episode, and that is Alan from San Diego. Although he is not in San Diego at the moment, he's driving towards San Diego. Alan, how are you doing, man?
Fantastic. Had a good day, a good evening, and I am excited to talk about USL Soccer in Orange County and the premier opening match for USL coming up on Friday.
The premier, and what makes you think it's the premier opening match, Alan?
Because the other game features Tacoma.
Oh man, you're going hard at Tacoma and the season's just getting started. But yeah, no, this is fun. This is a very fun episode because this is our last non-live at the stadium episode before the season kicks off and Orange County starts playing soccer again. Pretty much the whole USL kicking off this weekend. I know Alan's getting excited. Dylan's excited about San Diego kicking off on Saturday. But before that happens, we do have a match Friday night at Championship Soccer Stadium as your Orange County Soccer Club will be hosting El Paso Locomotive. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to talk about in this particular episode, for those that did know, today was actually Orange County SC's first ever media day. They actually had the media come out to the stadium. The media got to listen to Jeff Garner, who's the president of business operations, Oliver Weiss, who is the front office general manager. Coach Braden Cloutier was there and shared some words. And then basically the players, the media was given an opportunity to speak to whatever player they would like to there. And Dylan and I were both attending that. We got to speak to multiple players. And I'm coming out of this media day, Dylan, with a little bit more excitement than I had maybe going into it. I'm actually really stoked about the presentation from Coach Braden Cloutier and just sort of the feeling around the club, around the players that were there speaking to you, myself, and the other media. It seems like there's some really good excitement coming into the season and maybe a good camaraderie with the players. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I have to admit, I was pretty nervous about how the season was going to go. But I think after speaking to everyone today and seeing how the technical staff really set up for this season, things are looking good. And I'm feeling a lot more positive about this season. That being said, it's still 35, 36 weeks of abject terror each and every week as we play. So we're here. Let's do it. Only 7 more months.
Yeah, no, definitely. Only 7 more months of this season. We're getting started this Friday against El Paso. But let's talk about what we have going on with this club. We're going to talk about the players we got a chance to speak with. My son's jumping into the live stream here as he's getting ready for bed. So come here, Landon. Say hi to everyone or to the Orange County fans that may be listening to us.
Hi.
All right, so that's my son. You're going to see him at our live broadcast. I guarantee it. This Friday, he'll be helping out as we do things. And my other son probably wants to jump on here right now. They've got to do it. You want to come over here really quick, Kian, and say hi? You don't have to. All right, he doesn't want to. This is the wonder of live podcast recording is you never know what's going to happen. And that's my 2 amazing sons jumping in and talking to us here before we really get into the thick of things, I guess, which helps out. So let's look at this season. We're going to preview the team. We're going to preview what's happening. And I'm going to ask each of us to come up with a prediction for the season. So let's talk about what we saw or what happened there, Dylan, with the players at Media Day. Where should we start?
Start with how Cammy Palmer is getting on here in Orange County.
All right, so we got some audio from these players at Media Day. So let's start off with that. This is Cammy Palmer on how things are going. If I can get it to play properly. There we go.
The guys have been great. Obviously, Blake's took us everywhere. Yeah, he's been our tour guide, our chauffeur. But yeah, all the guys have been great for different reasons. Just setting us in and taking us around and showing us things, inviting us to places.
Perfect.
He's
Dylan.
one of the ones that's easier to understand. After that, I talked to Matty Shields, who was a little bit more difficult to understand, I think. And I asked him what his goals were for the 2020 season.
A success would be to get a decent amount of first team kind of starts under my belt. Obviously, it's good developing me as a person, moving away from home as well, moving away from my family. So I think that will help a lot as well.
All right, Dylan, can we get a translation for that, please?
Yeah, I think, I already forgot. He's trying to get a lot of minutes for what I remember.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to prove himself to his parent club, which I think he goes on to say after I trimmed some things down because we talked to them for a while, but wants to impress his parent club and, kind of make a name for himself here.
Alan, did you have something to throw in there?
Yeah, it sounded like he also was wanted to take advantage of the fact that he's kind of moved away from home as a challenge professionally, and hopefully it helps him grow. I know it's a double-edged sword. It's great to move away from home because you can be like super focused on your career, but then again, you're only super focused on your career. So hopefully he does take that advantage and turn it into a positive.
Perfect.
After that, I talked to Danny Finlayson about his goals for 2020.
I'm a winner, so winning the championship is also another personal goal for me.
Simple and sweet.
Yeah, it got more difficult to understand the longer he went on. So let me keep this one real short. Then back to the interview with Matty, I asked him what the hardest part about being in Orange County has been, given that it's 6,000 miles away from his home.
It's obviously been tough moving away from them. They are finding it tough as well. I've been on FaceTime to them most days.
Probably makes sense, Ray. I mean, you would probably FaceTime your kids while you were at work if they had phones.
I don't know if I would do it while I'm at work because I don't know how well that would go over with my boss. But yeah, if the opportunity is available, and I get it, these are some young guys, Matt, Cammy, and Danny, out here, like you said, 6,000 miles away from home. Luckily, they're all 3 together. I know when I spoke with at least, I think I spoke with Matt and Cammy a little bit. They mentioned, it's at least good to have some of their teammates that have joined them on this journey. Sometimes it can be difficult when you're a young player making that trip all the way across the world, coming into a new place, new area, new culture, new everything. So having those players along for the ride really is helping out with that. And I was definitely impressed with all three of them on how well they spoke with us, and I'm sure maybe with some of the other media. Sometimes when you get some younger players, they might not quite know where to go with it. I know we've had instances where we have to it's almost like pulling teeth when you're talking to someone to try and get a good quote out of them. And, they gave us some good information and good quotes and just a good idea of who they are when I was speaking with them. And I'm sure you, Dylan, had the same experience with them.
Yeah. I think it's really important to know how well they've gotten on. I know Cammy talked about it, but they've gotten along really well with everyone, and everyone seems to speak really highly of them, technical staff, other players. So I'm excited for them. And I hope it's a really successful year for them and for the team. I talked to our new number 9 as well, Ugo Okoli, and I just asked him what his goals were for 2020.
I know what I came here to do and what I want to do, and I'm just focusing on that and helping my team.
Yeah, not the best quote in the world. He was pretty coy about what his goals were. He told me he didn't want to share too much about them yet, and that maybe as the season goes on, he'll open up a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I said it probably the last 2 weeks now. He's got a really big role to fill. That's going to create some pressure on him, definitely. And, I hope he puts the numbers up. Best of luck to him. The new number 9. He probably doesn't have to win anyone over. We're generally pretty accepting of new players. But definitely.
We're accepting of new players if they come in and, at least show effort and come out and play, and not maybe just come out and just mess around for a few months of the year and collect a paycheck. We like it as fans when you come in as a new player. As long as you're out there trying your hardest and you're putting in the effort, we're going to support you. So hopefully that's what Ugo is going to bring to this club. Like you said, Dylan, tough shoes to fill. Alan, Ugo coming in here, filling in the shoes of a departed Michael Seaton, who was definitely a fan favorite, not just of Caroline Coalition, the fans in the stands, even us as the Orange and Black SoccerCast. I think we can all say he was one of our favorite interviews each and every match. Are you confident, or what are your thoughts on Ugo? And do you think he's going to be able to fill those shoes?
I think part of bringing Anna Voltson in helps alleviate some of that pressure. That it's not, Ugo doesn't have to step in and replace all of Michael Seaton's goals. I think between those two, you're looking at, if they can score 12 between the two, you're replacing Michael Seaton's goals, and that's a very attainable goal. I think the off the field is some of the stuff you talked about, the fan interaction, the off the field things, I think is where we're going to feel it the most. On the field, they've been successful, and if they put the goals in like they have, I think on the field they're going to be accepted, and it's going to be fine. I do think that connection to the community that Michael Seaton brought, win, lose, draw, he was always there to engage the fans. I think between the two of them, if they can replace that, I think that for fans and for the growth of the team, scoring goals is going to be important, but also reaching out to the community and continuing to build. They're going to have some big shoes to fill with the way Michael Seaton really connected with fans.
All right, Dylan, where did your media day journey take you next?
From the front of the line to the back of the line, I spoke to Frederick Due. Not Due, by the way.
We confirmed it was Due. We actually asked, I went right up to him and said, how do you say your last name? And he pronounced it. There is a slight extra sound at the end, but he said it's like this. It's not a Due, it's like a do. So yeah, go for it, Dylan. Sorry.
Someone should tell all the announcers in the league. But I asked him, I talked to him about why he came back, what his goals were, and we'll get the same answer out of basically everyone there. But I asked him about his back line. There were a lot of changes with the back line. Obviously, the departures of Walker Hume, Joe Miko, Kontar Wusu-Ansa. Trying to think of who else left.
Hugo Arellano. They played together a little bit. Don't forget my favorite guy. What did you say him already? Okay.
Lots of changes. And I asked him how he was getting on with everyone and what he thought.
I actually think it looks really good. We have Mike Roscoe from last year, which was one of the main factors that we did it as well as we did. And then we still have Kevin, experienced guy, and Walker left us, but we got Rob from from England, and he looks really good. So I think we're getting there, and then of course we got the young guys from Scotland. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can offer and bring to the table as well. But I'm pretty optimistic about it.
And so interesting, really quick, before I get back to you and you take us through this journey, Dylan, he mentioned Rob Kiernan, and I know my experience there at Media Day to Day, and I think you can share the same experiences. There's a lot of talk from not just some of the players, but from the coaching staff, from the front office on Rob Kiernan and what he's going to bring to this club. I know he's one of those sort of polarizing players for a lot of Ranger fans, if any Ranger fans are listening to us. But it seems like a lot of people in this club are looking at him as being this very key piece to what we have. And there was a lot of great things to be said about him from everyone that I spoke with.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that we heard from some of the technical staff was he's been fit. Obviously played with Southend United for the last 5-ish months up until the end of January. And that makes the big difference coming in. It's going to be a long 2020 for him. Having played a few months, he'll probably get rest. It's nice that we have all these options, guys like Blake Malone, to kind of fill in if he needs a rest. But everyone spoke highly of him. I know some Rangers fans were a little bit worried about that coming in. They said good luck with him. Kind of a similar attitude towards how they felt about Harry Forster. But it seems like the two of them, really, the two ex-Rangers are here for 2020. They're taking it seriously, and
yes,
it seems to be going well.
And we'll talk about Harry in just a little bit. I noticed you kept out any audio quotes from him, but I actually got a chance to speak with him a little bit while I was there at Media Day. We'll speak a little bit about Harry Forster in just a little bit.
I can almost swear you did not send me a Harry Forster audio file. Indeed, you did.
Maybe
not.
It did. Maybe it got lost in the interwebs.
You cannot accuse me of being biased against Harry Forster. Speaking of midfielders, I talked to newcomer Seth Kasipley, who we've obviously already had on the show. And I asked him about his personal goals and his goals for the team in 2020.
I think we expect to finish in the top 4 in the West. We expect to make the playoffs. We expect to have home games. These are like I said, these are the standards that we have set for us. I think the group is capable. It's just so now execution needs to be there.
And I know there's Seth Kasipley joining us from Reno. I know you got I think when you first started speaking with him at Media Day, Dylan, you sort of asked him like what made him choose Orange County. He had a pretty good relationship up there in Reno. Did you get anything out of him from that? Is there any particular reason he came down here?
Yeah, he just said he really enjoyed his time up there and he really liked everyone up there. And he's kind of looking for a little bit of a different challenge. And Orange County came calling. My hope is this one works out better than the Charlie Adams thing, which was a similar position where you have a really good player from another high-level Western Conference team coming into Orange County. Really, we basically had that conversation with Charlie Adams last December, and then obviously didn't work out with him, and he was gone in June. I think it's going to work out differently with Seth. They seem like very different players, and Seth seems very, I don't know, not necessarily easy to please, but ready to fight his way in and make himself undroppable. And that's something we really need. And we really need that box-to-box midfielder depth. He and Crisostomo are going to probably pick up a lot of yellows this season. So it'll be good to have him and put in time. But, he didn't shy away from mentioning his work rate either, which I know he mentioned on the podcast, which is why I edited it out. But, those kinds of players are the ones that we need. And those are the kinds of players that make a really big difference in this league when it's, 88th, 85th minute, 90th minute, 95th minute. And they're still running, they're still tracking dudes down, and they're still putting in tackles. That's a big part of what we need. Not to mention that he mentioned execution of things, which is something we didn't do at the beginning, really the first half of last year. We rarely executed, and we suffered as a result. That mentality is definitely gone. And Kevin Alston mentioned the same thing when I talked to him as well.
The goal is a championship, Personally, I had some freak injuries. I broke a rib, separated shoulder. You never expect those things to happen, but the good news is it wasn't like muscle injuries. It's just things that kind of happen and you just move on. But for this season, I'd love for the team to get a championship. It's my 3rd year. I think we have a group of guys in here that can really achieve that, and we just got to go out there and put it together. And I'd like to improve off of last season personally. I have nothing to add to that if you guys want to jump in.
I was waiting for you, Dylan. We're just, the power of the pause there. Yeah, Alan. So Alan, you didn't get a chance to attend media day, so you're just hearing some of these quotes for the first time. Just based on what you heard from those audio files, and just from what Dylan and I have been saying, what are your thoughts on the club after media day?
I think the 3 things I noticed, 2 things I noticed. One thing for the quotes, one thing from Dylan's point is it seems like a much more upbeat club, a little more positive club, and the goal is set pretty high, and I think it's achievable. And I think what Dylan pointed out as far as the way the team comes together is going to be important. Like the difference between getting a home match and not last season, there was a couple games where Orange County just didn't quite put it together offensively, and Orange County's added some pieces to really address that issue. It wasn't on the back end. You look at the statistics over the season, I think it was like plus 11 goal differential, and they scored 54 goals. So letting in only 43 is fantastic for the West. So it's really addressing that ability to put balls in the back of the net, and I think they really did that this offseason. And it's the reason I think a lot of people are really high in Orange County. And, these first 10 games, you win 1 or 2 more games than you did last year in the first 10, 15 matches. You're looking at a home playoff game. And that's what it really boils down to. Win the games that you should win, like the Tulsa match from last year, or the, that New Mexico game, you let in a couple early. So I think they've gone about it the right way. They've had a really positive offseason, and the buzz around Orange County isn't just in Orange County, it's league-wide. And I think Seth and Kevin really spoke to that. And it's pretty prevalent to hear that they're like, we're going to take it. The goal is championship. The goal is playoff games at home. And I think they just need to deliver, because I think they can.
One thing I can say, just attending the media day, a lot of the players and even Coach Braden Cloutier, they all referenced the poor start to last season. And a lot of what we heard was you had some players coming in out of shape. Harry Forrester wasn't quite ready for the season last year. You also talk about where the roster was still sort of coming together even after the season had started. You looked, a week or 2 into the season, you still were bringing in some pieces or trying to fit some pieces in there. I think a big message coming out of today's media day is that we now have a roster set and key pieces everywhere. And you sort of know now going into the first game of the season, first match of the season, what is going to be expected of the players, what the team's going to be doing. And it's not this, we're going to play a few weeks and then hopefully bring in a few new pieces to shore up things and stuff like that, which is a big 2 takeaways that I had from the media day. Even Harry Forrester, when I spoke with him, he admitted he didn't come into the season last year in full shape. He had mentioned he hadn't played for like 2 years, which any athlete coming into that situation where they haven't played for 2 seasons or 2 years, they're not going to be at their fittest. And he sort of came in, you're expecting him just sort of right away, just jump in there. And I know, there was some bonehead plays. He admitted that sometimes he, goes a little overboard with stuff. We saw that. We're hoping we don't see that as much, but maybe with him coming in and Dylan, I know one of the things that you said, and I think other people that have seen him at some of the preseason matches, is he's coming into the season fit. He's not looking like the Harry Forrester of the beginning of 2019. He's coming in looking like he's ready to compete. And it sounds like from my conversation with him, he's ready to really be a leader out there for this club. I'm not lying, right, Dylan? He came in, he's looking fit. He's looking like he's ready to play some soccer.
Yeah, last year he had a bit of a gut, a lot of time out. That's not the case this season, which is awesome. He's lean, and yeah, he really does look ready to lead. If you've watched any preseason matches, he's been out there. He's taken on a leadership role. That's great. I'm happy. I hope this is a different Harry Forrester from the one we saw last year. That's my big hope.
Cool. So let's get into this. Let's talk about the season. And one thing I want to let everyone know, if you get a chance to, is we've sort of opened up a preseason survey for the fans to answer some questions. This is like 10 questions. It's nothing big or major, but basically just questions to try and find out the fans' thoughts on this team and what they're expecting. So some of the questions you're getting is, how many points will the team have? How many goals will the team score? Who's going to lead the team in goals, assists, yellow/red cards? Who's going to be the MVP, attendance, and stuff like that. So we'll throw it out on social media. We threw it out earlier on social media. Some people have responded. We'll throw it out again with the link so that you guys can find it. We want to hear what you, the fans, think of this squad. Who are going to be the key players? Who are the ones that maybe are going to, get yellow cards, red cards, and disappoint us a little bit on there. And then what we'll do is, at the live pregame show at Championship Soccer Stadium this Friday, we'll announce just sort of some of the thoughts of some of the fans on there. So one of the options on there too is you could provide a wild prediction for us to share or thoughts. And we asked you to be creative, and some of you have already been creative, which is pretty cool. So I want to hear what more of you have to say. So if you get opportunity, make sure you take part of that and share your thoughts. I'm going to go across or around the table here with Dylan and Alan, and I want us to just sort of come up with some ideas or some thoughts for this season, what to expect with this team this season. And maybe we will, at least at this point, just come up with a points prediction for Orange County on the season. How many points will they get, and what place is that going to put them on the table in the Western Conference? Let's start off with you, Dylan. What is your, just sort of give us a prediction for the season, what to expect?
Well, I do love thoughts, but I don't necessarily love sharing them. Read into that what you will. I think we're a home playoff team this year. I think the pieces we brought in, and everyone's really hungry, and the standard that everyone set in the preseason is there. I think we need to create chances. We need to create a lot more chances, and we also need to put those chances away as Ugo gets more match fit. I think that'll be a big help, and hopefully Anna Voltson's in his usual early season form, and is banging them in to help buoy the team, and hopefully we see a resurgence of DJ again. Home playoff, I don't think we're going to concede too many. What else? What other?
Predict how many points. Well, let's hold the points until after we get like just sort of a thought or a prediction from Alan and myself, and then we'll go into predicting how many points and where that's going to put us on the table, and then maybe we'll predict the preseason MVP, or we'll announce who we each think is the MVP of this team going into the season. So Alan, let me jump to you. Give me a prediction on this season.
I think anything out of the top four is a little bit of a disappointment. Probably looking at second or third, kind of somewhere between there. But definitely anything lower than fourth, I think, is a little bit of a disappointment. I think Anna Voltson is in the Golden Boot conversation. And if he's not, it's because Ugo is putting more in. I think the way Anna Voltson plays in front of the net, he's going to be able to get some assists, but also put away some balls that, kind of sniffing around, cleaning up the junk in front of the net, and getting some easy tap-ins, kind of like Corey Herzog does for Reno from time to time. So I do think they score some goals this year, and I do think anything less than a home playoff match is a little bit of a disappointment.
So to throw out a few things, and I agree with you all. I think it's a home match in the first round of the playoffs or bust for this team. Anything lower than that is going to be a disappointing season. I even think you have to really look at this team and maybe think, anything lower than top 3 seed is going to be a little bit of a disappointment. One thing I got talking with Kevin Alston at the media day is he's very impressed with the front line of Darwin Jones, Thomas Voltson, and Ugo out there. He really sounded excited about those 3 up top, and that they're already really working well together in practice. We are talking about how those three parts are sort of interchangeable, because you look at someone like a Thomas and a Bolton. Yeah, his primary position is right there, maybe sort of a shadow striker, but he actually can go out to the wings and still be very productive there. Same with like a Darwin Jones. He's typically out there on the right side, but he can rotate all across the top there. If things happen in a match where he's now sitting up at top, maybe at the striker role, he can hang out there for a little bit and still be very productive for a team. I don't know much about Ugo coming into this season, other than I know he was a former Golden Boot winner. But listening to Kevin Aulston speak about those three and how they're going to really work well together, it's going to be a nice thing to see for Orange County fans. That's definitely a good sign there. The other thing I want to mention too is it just this team, the sort of energy there, at least at this media day. It seemed really, really like a good connection with these players. They all seem to be in a pretty good mood, joking, laughing, sort of building some relationships here. I know in the past you may see some conflict even early in the season, and that doesn't seem like the case. It seems like you got some players in there, and I'm not saying that they're joking, laughing, and sort of losing focus. It seems like they're very focused on what they're doing, because we spoke to a lot of players. They all mentioned the ultimate goal is a championship, right? The ultimate goal is a successful top four finish. Things of that is what we heard from these players, but it didn't look like any of these players didn't want to be there. Now, maybe they didn't want to speak with the media. I noticed some players were excited when they were told, hey, you don't have to speak with anyone today. Great. But it didn't look like anyone didn't want to be there at, practice or at the stadium or doing this. It seems like they're all actually truly, genuinely excited for this upcoming season and what this team can do. And again, like I said at the very beginning, coming out of media day, I'm even more excited for the season and what it'll bring. Cause it seems like, I will say the team has exceeded what I was expecting out of it coming into media day. Let's jump into picking some predictions on, I guess, how many points Orange County will obtain in the season and where that'll put them on the table. I'm going to start off with Alan on this one.
I think high 60s, low 70s. I think the West on the top part is probably maybe a little bit more top heavy than they've been in the past. I don't think the top end run away as much as they have this past season with Reno and Phoenix kind of running away from the pack. RAP Fresno. So I think looking at high 60s, maybe some low 70s, puts you in the top three. That's kind of where I think they were at 54 points last year in fifth place. I think getting mid 60s puts you in that top three position.
Dylan, what about you?
I was going to go with 69 points for the meme of it, but I think that's a little bit high. That's 23 wins, right? Or, I'm not smart enough to do the rest of the math for that one, actually. I'm not even going to pretend like I can do that off the top of my head, even as I stall to try and do it. I think about mid 60s. I do think it's going to be pretty condensed in that 4 through 6, 4 through 7 spot again, like it was last year. I imagine it'll be even closer. I imagine last season between 4th and 8th place was a 6-point gap. I would think that's probably going to be 3 points this year. Something's going to go down to goal differential or yellow cards. Yeah, mid 60s. I don't think there's any other way to do it. If it's not mid 60s, it's going to be bad. Like, guys are going to leave.
Makes sense. I'm going to go with what you guys are saying. I'm thinking mid to high 60s for this club, with the depth that they have, with the quality of players they have on the roster. It's mid 60s is the low point of where they should be. They should be getting at least to mid 60s, if not higher. They really should have this goal to obtain. I know you still have a very tough Phoenix team out there in the desert. That'll be a tough team to catch, even though, they've, lost and gained some players there. So you don't know how the chemistry is going to work out in Phoenix. But I think this Orange County team can definitely look to regain the regular season Western Conference crown if they can play the way it looks like they can play, and if the depth can hold up the way that it's looking. for this team. So yeah, I think mid 60s is the minimum of where they should be. I'm thinking more higher 60s or lower 70s, sort of like what Alan was talking about there as well. So let's do this coming into the season. Who do you all pick as the MVP for this team coming into this season? I'm going to start off with you, Dylan.
Aiden Quinn.
Simple and sweet. Any particular reason why it's Aiden Quinn, or is it just is it a gut feeling?
Well, he's one of our most consistent players. He provides a ton of assists. If Aiden's having a bad night, there's a really good chance that the rest of the team's having a bad night too, and nothing's going to happen. He creates a lot of chances. It's up to the guys up top. It's up to really DJ and Ugo Okoli and Thomas Enevoldsen to put those away.
What about you, Alan?
I'm going to go with Enevoldsen. I think he goes on a good run. Is in the Golden Boot race, and I think he's going to be one of the reasons why Orange County is at the top of the table.
All right. Dylan, you're not allowed to hate me on this pick that I'm going to make. This is sort of a gut feeling based off of my interaction with some of these players out there today. And maybe it's a hope, but I'm going to pick Harry Forster as the MVP for this team this season. I think if Harry Forster performs really well for this team, it's going to take this team to that next level from where they were last season. I think the fact that he's coming in soccer shape, football shape, whatever you want to call it, and that he seems like he's ready for this, I'm going to have to go with it. Again, this might just be a hope more than an actual prediction, but let's go with that. I don't know. That's what I'm going with. Don't hate me, Dylan. Oh, jeez, Dylan. Dylan is like doing something over there. What's up?
Nothing. That last week at drinking's really hit me hard or something.
Don't hate me, Dylan. Don't help me. But hey, if this comes true, I mean, you'll be happy at the end of the season, right?
We do well. Does the team do well? That's ultimately all I care.
Yeah. Let's do this. We're going to have a lot more that we're going to discuss. Again, we're doing a live pregame show live from Championship Soccer Stadium before the match on Friday. We're planning on going live roughly around 5:45, give or take, depending on if we run into any issues setting up all of our equipment there. If you're at the match, you'll be able to actually hear us. We're going to put up some speakers. So if you're in the fan zone where the dollar beers are probably going to be, you're going to be able to hear us talking about this match. We're going to have some guests on board to discuss the match with us, some experts, some front office members of Orange County. If you're not going to be there for that, say you're pre-gaming somewhere else, or you're not going to be able to make the match, we will be streaming it live just as we do each and every episode on all of our streaming options here: YouTube, Twitter / Periscope, Facebook, our website, Twitch. If you want to go find us on Twitch, you can find us there. Even though we have nothing to do with video games, we have a stream on Twitch. We just try and get it out on as many places as we can. So do that. So we're not going to give away all of our preseason stuff at this point. Remember, look on our social media to fill out the survey that we have out there, so we can read some of your answers out there at that pregame show as well. Let's get into other soccer news, unless there's anything else Orange County related that Dylan or Alan want to discuss really quick.
Nothing.
Nope. Excited for Friday.
Perfect. Let's get into any other soccer news that we can find. Dylan, do you have anything other outside of Orange County Soccer Club that's soccer related?
No, I'm gonna have to defer to resident Liverpool fan Alan Underwood.
Really quick. Hold on, really quick, Alan. Dylan, I know you got a chance maybe just to speak very briefly with or learn a little bit about this USL wooden spoon thing going on. Do you want to share anything or talk anything about that really quick? Say anything about that?
Yeah, sure. It's actually a pretty seriously well-made trophy. whoever I don't actually know who's putting it on, but they decided about mid-January that, hey, why not do something like that? They talked a little bit about how they're going to do tiebreakers, because I was curious, given that we have a lot of generally pretty bad teams in the USL, teams like Kansas City too, and maybe Hartford again, and probably the Switchbacks and Tacoma, teams like that, San Antonio probably. These teams that are gonna
Sorry, Harry.
through 35-ish weeks, and I asked about how he'd do tiebreakers if two teams happen to have 20 points. Goals probably gonna be the big one there. Whoever's putting it on thinks that it's gonna be one of the two teams that ends up getting it. I cannot disagree with them. They are generally pretty terrible. And if you haven't seen the logo, you can find it at USL Spoon on Twitter. Not the logo, I'm sorry, the actual trophy itself. It's made of a bunch of wooden stirring spoons. It looks like a World Series trophy, and I had to know, was that to poke fun at baseball or at the World Series? And it was mostly because a good amount of the teams play in baseball fields, and whoever's doing this is trying to poke fun at that.
There we go.
Perhaps
maybe San Diego wins it.
Surprisingly, I don't think that's not gonna be a San Diego thing. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this person's a Lou City fan. I don't think that is a surprise to anyone who's remotely seen this account. But they wanted an award for everyone else to be able to win, which is pretty rich, given that they didn't win the USL final this year, and don't look like they're going to do it this year either.
Maybe they can win it. All right. I know I cut you off, Alan, because Dylan had handed you the baton, but I wanted to ask Dylan about this really quick. Go for it, Alan. What do you have to share?
You see, Montreal signed a former or current Tottenham player.
Yes, Victor Wanyama. He likes spaghetti, man. He likes spaghetti, so he'll fit in right there in Montreal.
So hopefully you can, when they play in LA, you can drive up and see a Tottenham player maybe win a game.
Maybe.
Was that supposed to be like a blow to me or something?
Can Montreal?
It sounds like Alan was waiting all day to share that, and just sort of it fizzled out before he got to the punchline there.
No, I'm just
you
said other soccer news. It was interesting.
Oh man. Really quick, I'm going to ask you, Alan, because I noticed that the locals and the electric lights out there in Vegas, they created a supporter shield. Have you heard anything about that, or do you know anything about what's going on with that?
Essentially, it's to celebrate the inaugural game against Lights and the fact that both of the coaches are, quote, legends. It's like a legend shield that'll be owned by San Diego. I mean, the winner of the season matchup between San Diego and Las Vegas. It looks cool. I don't know if, beating Las Vegas is something we should hang our hats on, but Vegas likes to hang their hats on meaningless wins. So I guess we're getting involved in that game too. So
do you really want to get into that game, Alan?
I mean, I don't, but I think it's cool to celebrate, your first inaugural game ever. And, just play into the hype a little bit and kind of make a little friendly banter between supporters groups. I think it's always kind of fun and healthy, and a way to bring a positive kind of banter versus we're going to call you a bunch of nasty names on Twitter banter. So if it's friendly and it creates kind of this growing community of USL in San Diego, I'm all for it.
Cool. Really quick, before we get to our random thoughts, I'm going to play a quick game with you guys. I'm going to give you three topics that have been going on around sort of Orange County or USL based. And I want you to give like a one-word response to this topic. I'm going to start with this first topic, and I'll go with you first, Dylan. Orange County announced that they have they announced a local broadcast partnership with Cox Communications, all the home matches, and I think they mentioned about 10 of the away matches at least will be available on Cox Your View, I think is what it's called. And I believe that in Orange County, that is Channel 3. Dylan, one word response to that or thought on that.
Sweet. Can I expand
and what
on
about
that?
you, Alan? What would yeah, go for it, Dylan. Expand on it.
No. Have Alan say his word first, and then we can expand after that.
Okay. Alan, go. What's your one word for that?
This is going to be hyphenated, so don't judge me. It's about damn time they finally figure that out.
That's a little stretch of a
That's
hyphenation
ignoring a few grammatical rules about the use of hyphens, but I guess we'll let it slide.
Okay, go for it, Dylan. What is your expansion of this?
This is sweet. If you happen to live in Laguna Woods, this means that you can now watch our games. So if you happen to be like 8 million years old, you can now watch our games, which is awesome because that means my not grandparent grandparents can now watch these games. Also, additionally, if you happen to live in Santa Barbara,
yeah,
or some other,
I forget the other places they mentioned.
But there's more than, you can't do it in LA County, but Orange and Santa Barbara counties and maybe Ventura counties, you can watch these games.
And I think the interesting thing is you don't have to have Cox Cable from what I'm hearing. I think anyone that lives in Orange County, and I think those other areas that are part of this, if you go onto the Yearview California website, you can actually watch them on a stream there without having to pay for the ESPN Plus. At least that's what I'm hearing. I have little knowledge or experience with Yearview, so I don't know how it works, but that's what I believe I was told by the front office of Orange County.
That's how it seemed to work when I tested it. Granted, as a good internet user, my VPN was on, so I was technically in Los Angeles County, and therefore I could not look at anything.
Interesting.
That's how it goes.
All right, let's get into topic number 2 here. Since you last heard from us, Las Vegas announced a very special match, and luckily Orange County is part of this match. It's going to be the first match played, I guess, basically past midnight is sort of how they're selling it. It's 11 p.m. kickoff in Las Vegas. Orange County will be there as the visitors for that match. I'm going to start off with you, Alan, your one-word thought on that. And I don't know if Alan knows that he's muted or if he is disappeared.
Sleepy. My word is sleepy.
Sleepy. And then Dylan, what would your word be for that?
My word is
no, you cannot use bad language.
My word's an expletive. It's 8 letters. It involves the excrement of a specific kind of large bovine animal. That's specific enough.
That is very specific. Yes. Yes. So, Alan, I take it you're not going to stay up to the end of that match?
I mean, I guess I got to take a nap that day. But that is definitely past my bedtime.
Dylan and I were at the media day. You weren't. So we sort of said Alan gets to be the one that covers that match when it comes. So you better take a nap and buy some Red Bull for that night. Since we're talking about Las Vegas, another announcement that they made is that for this season, they're going to, I guess, become they're taunting as first soccer team ever to have a home jersey for each and every home match. And that's going to include the midnight match, and I guess a fan design or something for fan appreciation match against Reno. Let's start off with you, Dylan. What is your one word thought on that?
Pathetic.
And Alan?
Fine.
What was that?
Fine. Fine.
Does a sound count as a second word? I don't know. Okay, cool. I'm going to go to you, Dylan. Why do you say it's pathetic? Because you had a funner word.
Yeah, it's Vegas gimmicks at its finest, right? A game that kicks off at 11 p.m. so your players are unsafe. I mean, never wearing the same home kit. Having a We Hate Reno night when you can't seem to win a game against your in-state rival or win more than 10 games in a season. I mean, the joke's already been said, but they're almost going to wear as many uniforms as they have wins in franchise history. They're a joke of a club. Their players are pathetic. Front office is pathetic. Their manager is pathetic. the city is pathetic.
But their MC is amazing, right?
They are the worst thing about Nevada.
Oh, you know what? I'll go for it, Alan.
The kits came from like fan submissions, right? That's kind of where they got the idea.
I think something like that. I don't know how it's working.
A few of them are.
Like if it was like a bunch of if it was a bunch of fan submissions, I'm all for it. It's very like, I mean, someone brought up the point earlier on the interwebs. Like, if this kit idea came from Forward Madison, would we feel the same way? And I think if it's
stupid, right?
Well, I mean, I think it just depends on how they do it. If it's like a bunch of fan designs and they want to highlight and like do some fan interaction, I'm all for it. If it's just to either sell more kits or just because, then I think that maybe it's a little bit different. Like, hey, we got like 5 really good fan submissions. We want to make them all kits. Like, all right, well, then let's do something like that. I think anytime you can engage the fans and make them feel part of the team, I'm all for it. I think some of the things that they don't do that, and that's why it feels kind of gimmicky and desperate. I don't hate the different kit for every home game idea. If they were all, especially if they're all like fan submitted, that would be like the most legit. But there's also that you miss the connection of that home kit connection and everyone wearing the same color, and you know what you're going to look like every week. So I can go either way. I'm not like anti it, but I'm also not like in love with it.
So let me respond to you really quick, Alan. You mentioned if it was like Forward Madison, would we care as much? Probably not, because Forward Madison doesn't try too hard to be this niche cool thing. They're just they're that cool kid who's cool because they're cool. Whereas Las Vegas seems to be like that nerdy kid who just wants to be cool. So just tries everything to be cool. And in the end, you look at him, they're still a nerd, right? And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to say nerd is a bad thing. I'm just saying, you have this thing that's sort of more authentically cool, and you have this thing that's more, trying to do it, and it's just not working. If Las Vegas wasn't doing all of these gimmicks every single season, every single match, every single this and that, it would be a different story. And that, I think that's where this comes in is at some point, just give it a rest. Like, why is there a need for an 11 p.m. match? Why is there a need for 17 separate home jerseys? Why is there a need to drop money from a helicopter? Why is there a need for foam baths around the stadium? Why is there a need for an MC on the pitch who's probably doing something that shouldn't be done anyways? The USL probably doesn't even allow it, but they're just doing it because they're doing it. They're just trying all these things, trying too hard. Sometimes you just gotta let it be. You gotta just sort of let it grow. They've only been around for a couple seasons. If this was a team that's been around for 100 seasons and this is their like traditions that they've built out over the years, then that's something. But I mean, they're just trying to throw a bunch of excrement on the wall and hope some of it sticks to that wall type thing. So, yeah, there's my thoughts on those last two things there. And by the way, and I'm not going to mention any names, just talking with people that we talked about at Media Day, players, front office staff, and all that. There are a few people on the Orange County side that probably aren't super excited about this as well, because it's weird. An 11 p.m. match. I'm talking about the 11 p.m. match. I'm not talking about the jerseys. They probably could care less about the jerseys. Speaking of jerseys, Orange County's jerseys drop tomorrow, Wednesday evening. If you're listening at any other time, maybe past Wednesday, then they've already dropped. But I know seeing them at the media day, they look pretty neat, and I think the fans will be decently pleased with the way the team's going with the jerseys. All right, let's do this. Let's get into our random thoughts for the evening. I'm going to start off with you, Dylan.
Random thought. We're back to a poem, because I'm not extremely intoxicated this week, as you may be able to tell by the lack of random noise, burping, and I think probably slurring of my words. I'm a little bit too embarrassed to go back and listen to last week's podcast. This is a poem called Men Keep on Dying. It's by Michael McGriff, and the final sextet of the poem has a truly beautiful image. Go ahead and have at it. That's MCGRIFF, McGriff.
Alan, what about you?
My random thought is I am thankful for all of the support that happens behind the scenes, whether you're involved in athletics or music or anything like that. It's always nice to there's a lot of people who work behind the scenes that don't always get noticed or recognized. And I just want to take that time. If you aren't the star, you're the, the equipment guy, or you're the parent that drives their kids to soccer practice every day. Like, thank you for what you do. You make everything we do worthwhile.
Awesome. It's weird, but I don't really have a random thought for tonight's episode. I've been thinking this whole episode and I just couldn't come up with something. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to bore you with some generic random thought or just something I'm making up here for the heck of it. So we're going to end it with that. Dylan, let our listeners know if they want to follow you anywhere on social media or learn more from you, where they can do that.
You can find me on Twitter at OCSE_Dylan. You can find me on Reddit /u/OCSE_Dylan. You can find me at eldonnews.org under the byline Dylan Allen.
What about you, Alan?
You can find me @Underwood48 on the Twitter machines, and on some other social media accounts and websites.
Just some other random stuff that they can find you on, huh?
If you know, but
And if you don't know, now you know. I don't know. You can follow me on Twitter at DJ Racemore. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at OCSE_SoccerCast. Also follow the podcast on Instagram at OCSE_SoccerCast. Look for us on Facebook at just search Orange and Black SoccerCast. We're part of Beautiful Game Network, BGN.FM. Look for us on there for not just our podcast, but for news covering Orange County, and then podcast and news covering a bunch of soccer, not just USL. Now they have a bunch of other soccer stuff going on. Go to our website, OCSCpodcast.com, to find out information about our podcast, listen to episodes, or read any articles that we have or will be posting in the near future. I believe Dylan is sort of finalizing what he's going to do for this project, where he's going to be talking just about these Ranger loanees that are over here. So that way, any Ranger fans that maybe are listening to us right now, you'll be able to actually listen to a podcast more dedicated to how those players are doing. Although we still want you to listen to us, but you'll have that extra bit of information that Dylan's going to provide for those players, so you can stay up to date on how things are going for them. I want to thank also one of our sponsors. So I want to say, tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday league squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create that kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design a new custom kit today at IcarusFC.com. For Dylan, for Alan, I am Ray. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, and we are out.
You have been listening to the Orange and Black SoccerCast. For the latest Orange County SC news and information, visit our website, OCSCpodcast.com. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Ruffneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at ruffneckscarves.com.